everybody. That's what we're gonna change graphs and track. So it'll cost that plus.
I don't think there's anything in there that you're gonna be, you've been for all along.
Oh, yeah. Terry. We have
I feel like I keep turning my back to you.
dumpsters yet.
Has he?
The lawn waste dumpster. I thought he was gonna order lawn waste. For,
Oh,
you
for,
know, like people who
I don't,
don't have
they
access
were,
to the.
I think the last time,
You're
the
good.
last street out on the sidewalk meeting, Carolyn was still checking to see if that grant was available for ordering. And then I heard nothing, since then. Well, I mean, I know it's that time of the year, but people got stuff piled up everywhere. And that's, I mean, it's that time of year. Grass. You should have seen Judy's report this morning. There's so many grass violations.
Oh,
Like 2 pages.
well, nice. Really, 6 inches a week.
It's grown overnight.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Mow it, pay someone to mow it.
Exactly.
I'm going to call to order the Tipton Common Council meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda, minutes from the last meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting. Would that be? Yeah.
April
April
22nd.
22nd.
April 22nd.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Motion by Mr. Rippey, seconded by Mr. Kring. Those in favor of approving the meetings from our last meeting, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Any amendments to the agenda this evening? Hearing none, and this is the first meeting of the month. We'll start with Board of Works and Safety.
We met today. We had an update on, for old business on 124 South 4th Street. That's the property that burnt last year. It was last year. The judge ordered some kind of temporary injunction and the sheriff locked the property so that the person who was living in the home couldn't live in the garage. And now the grass is kind of getting tall. So Mr. Meekner asked if we would mow it. So we got with Judy and should hopefully be mowed soon. Cemetery, people are still dying to get in there. Park. Let's see. Park. If you guys have noticed, lots going on at the basketball courts. They're hopefully going to get that asphalted now this week. It was going to be later. Once that is asphalted, they'll then put the backboards and the goals back in. Dinah's looking to replace some of the older equipment. She's got the first concert of the park is this week.
This Friday.
Yep. Just minor issues going on, plumbing issues, some stuff going on with the bridge, but overall, everything's going well at the park. I'm sure someone else, we have a park advisory board and give that update. We issued a 30-day order to demolish on 928 Oak Street. The property owner record is no longer live, so that'll probably come down to getting bids to demolish that as well. And then the mayor gave us some updates on some dilapidated properties, so I'll let him update that if he wants. And then he gave us some updates too on the West Street project, and then some of the other streets are going to be resurfaced this year. And that was it.
Thank you, Councilman Kring. Next is Utility Board.
Utility board minutes are in your packet.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Rippey. Moving on to next item on the agenda, there's no items under new business, so we'll move under old business. Update on Engine 11. As you all likely recall, we passed a resolution declaring that surplus and moving forward with Brinley to sell the fire engine. It was shortly after that action that we discovered some larger issues with the engine itself. What appears as though water had frozen and has warped, from what we can tell, nearly every valve in the fire engine. So best case scenario, it would require $20,000 to fix the engine to then turn around and sell it, hoping to get 40 out of it. So it's at least my recommendation, and I believe Tammy's as well, that we just move forward with, we'll have to work with legal counsel to construct a new resolution. We'll just declare it surplus again, but then we'll just send it to Cripes Auction to just auction as is. For the market for that could be a volunteer fire department that still sees the opportunity in buying a $5,000, $10,000 engine, putting in the necessary $20,000 to $25,000, and they've got an operable engine. This hasn't really delivered any good news since we've received it back. And I don't want to go down the path of fixing it, because once we start, we've got to take it the rest of the way to finish it. So that's going to be the resolution coming to this board. Did we discuss next meeting, or
We're gonna try next meeting.
try next meeting based on timing? That's the next steps.
Any lessons we can learn? I'm not trying to place blame, but should we have leased it to Madison Township?
There's some changes that we likely should have done in the lease agreement, and some of that, again, hindsight's 2020, weekly or even monthly engine or equipment checks that our fire department does on a weekly schedule. Maybe a volunteer fire department, I just don't know the practices, so we could have required that with some detailed reporting that could have highlighted. We don't even know if this happened under Madison Township's operation or our own. Our fire department is very doubtful it happened under our watch, but again, we don't have the information and evidence to verify.
Did we actually lease it to Madison Township, or did we just say, "Yeah, you can have it"? I
think there was a lease agreement.
I think it was.
Yeah,
Because what if they had taken that on a run and it didn't work?
correct. Or they did take it and got damaged. There were clauses in there that required them to fix it and to get insurance for the vehicle. The problem now is we just don't know when it happened,
Yeah,
under whose watch. So
yeah, and
rather than placing blame or unnecessarily,
just learn from it.
correct, move forward. Any other questions on Engine 11? Okay, next on the agenda, Mayor's report, and as Councilman Kring highlighted in the Board of Works, some updates on paving projects came up, and just because I did misspeak at the Board of Works meeting, the project on East 28, this is the area that's going to be east of McDonald's or Dairy Queen. That area is on the schedule to be resurfaced with some culvert work being done. That's actually scheduled for 25. Not 24. So we're in the process now of collecting information, and they're going to let the project out next February. I went back and double checked that information, but that's going to be a 25 project. The area near Park Road and 19 or Main Street is going to get some resurface this year. That work will begin in June of this year. It requires a mill and resurface. There's going to be some improvements to the crosswalk areas. So they're going to move the crosswalk that connects to the school actually in front of the stop bar, which will require them to take the guardrail back. So there'll be pieces of the guardrail that will be removed, and some actual lighted pedestrian signage that'll be activated by one of those push button poles. And then improvements to the ADA ramps will be done on all four corners of that.
Will there be any improvements on the sidewalks on the south side?
It's just
By the school,
Yeah.
I don't believe their project goes that far east. Just the immediate intersection is their concentration this time. Other local projects that are on the schedule for June, Court Street is going to be resurfaced. There's sections of East Street, Mill Street, and Poplar Street. Just based on some of the work that's already taken place on those roads, it's a bit of a chopped up, really taking some targeted streets, project areas to resurface. The one that's of concern is on East Street, and this was brought up during Board of Works. We're going to try to coordinate this because it's going to be closed. There's actually some drainage work that needs to be done, and it'll be closed in front of the shack. So we're trying to coordinate this to take place during the day that they are closed to offer the least disruption to their business during this closure.
Did we decide which side of the street we're gonna put yellow line on also to?
Outside of just general discussion, we never made a decision on eliminating
'Cause I figure
parking.
if we're gonna redo it, that would be the best time to get it repainted and everything too.
Yeah, it feels like it's part of a larger conversation of, I would feel hesitant eliminating parking this early into their existence as a new business. So we're trying some steps to ease into this, eliminating some parking closest to the intersection, but truth be told, it could become a reality where we had to eliminate
Right.
parking. Others, as many probably noticed, the railroad is doing some work on the ties. We've sent out some communications regarding that, both in email and on social media. We were hopeful and coordinated with Norfolk and Southern's team to have a more strategic approach to this, having no more than 2 intersections closed at one time. You've probably noticed that didn't go as planned. So I believe as of today, all 4 railroad crossings are closed. They weren't supposed to be closed for any longer than 2 days. Again, we're hopeful that that remains true. The last one I did want to bring up, and I did forget during Board of Works, it's not actually a city project, but a county project. It's the bridge that's being replaced on 300 West. So it's going to be north of Old State 28. And I bring that up because that's going to reroute truck traffic to Corteva. And so the communicated truck route that's being communicated from County Engineer Phil Beer to Corteva is up 400 west to Division to 19 north, and then they'll come back down 19 to shoot across 28 to Corteva. Acknowledging that is likely the safest and most appropriate truck route to get their semis to their business, but acknowledging that we're probably going to see an uptick in traffic. That project is supposed to start tomorrow and will last for the next, at most, 60 days. So again, just acknowledging that hairpin intersection at Jefferson and Old State 28 is not an intersection I want semi trucks navigating. So was pleased when I heard Phil Beer mention that they'd already thought about a detour, communicated with Corteva, and then I circled back with Corteva myself today after learning that to make sure that they'd communicated that to their semi drivers. Any questions on the street projects before moving on? Next the only other 2 updates I wanted to offer tonight were public safety building updates. We're nearing the completion of that, which means that the final feasibility report will be coming to this council in the coming weeks. They're finalizing that report. So all those conversations have gone well. The team at Etica have been incredibly complimentary of the participation from the public safety, both police and fire. Encouraged with that level of engagement that we'll be able to work on a project here in the next coming months to scope a project and get it off the ground. So I think you all find that report very enlightening and encouraging for this moving forward. The last one is on the baseball renovation project. I've been meeting this week with a group. We'll be on site looking at the facility, getting a better assessment of the facility, and then they're going to work on a proper budget for this project moving forward. We really need that piece. We've had some conversations, Tammy and I, with Reedy Financial, and have discussed the financing aspects of this. But until we have that budget from the construction group, that'll highlight the true dollars we're talking about and what those funds will need to look like as we move forward. So making great progress on that, and expect to have some answers in the short term on that project moving forward.
Keegan, while you're at the park, do we have any news about the skate park?
No, the skate park has unofficially been put on hold until we figure out the baseball project. It felt like the highest priority, the baseball project, and then it's not off the table by no means, but we want to get one big project done at a time. And I think the difference between these projects and the basketball courts is that there were budgeted dollars for the basketball courts in the 2024 budget, and none of the others have any dollars budgeted for this year. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to resolutions and ordinances. This is Resolution 2024-08, resolution approving a lease between the City of Tipton and the Tipton County Solid Waste District. And as Tim can remark, it's come up in our conversations at the Solid Waste District Board meeting that there isn't a lease that exists between the City of Tipton and the County Solid Waste District. Many, maybe all of you know that the City of Tipton actually owns the property that they are operating out of. And so it came up in discussions probably 2 or 3 meetings ago. This resolution allows both the city and the County Solid Waste District boards to enter into a lease agreement. So we will enter into or approve this resolution, and then they also will approve this resolution at their next meeting to then create a lease agreement between the two parties.
I move that we, resolution 2024-08, that we approve that.
Second.
Motion by Tim, seconded by Nate. All those in favor of approving resolution 2024-08, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We are now at claims.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve for payment claims 176323 through 176505 in the amount of $4,595,767.01.
I second.
We have a motion by Rick, seconded by Tim. All those in favor of approving claims signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstained?
Aye.
One abstention from Nate Crane. We are now at petitions, comments, and memorials.
It's not funny anymore. Andy Pumphrey, 306 Jersey. Thank you for the couch.
You're welcome.
And the second thing, would you guys remove the parking while you're doing all this street business? I know there's gonna be a fine line between what is too much and what is not enough. But I think sometimes it's forgotten or not reviewed. And I think we could use a couple more spots downtown in handicap parking.
Yes.
Okay. Roberta?
Roberta Heinzman, 904 Mill Street. Thank you for the skate park update. I know after this, probably Wednesday, I'll be getting some text and calls. Number 2, I was encouraged to bring up the stoplights, and I'm glad you guys talked about it today because I was asked to remind you the state is not in favor of leaving those flashing stoplights up because they can cause confusion, and I'm sure you know who called me. But I promised her I would bring it up. And
I'm sorry.
I know, but I promised, I listened to her patiently, and I promised I would bring it up. The next thing I had a question about the ball field. Which group is meeting for that?
I'm hosting it's a construction group, a construction engineering group, correct, to get on site to look at the
And that is
facility.
a separate construction group or our street department?
It's separate. This is a formal construction group.
Okay, and then my next question is, I know in the past, there have been some donations toward, if I am told correctly, let me clear it that way, that there were donations given to the baseball park other than what the city has supposedly given in the past.
Mhm.
So do you know by chance for the rest of this work, if they're applying for any grants or the city's applying for any grants?
It is the expectation as we've met as a project group, and this project group includes people from the Tipton Baseball League, the park board, park staff, and then myself. That's been a piece of our conversation since January, is trying to go after some grants.
I'm glad to hear that. You already talked about Main and Jefferson. And then 928 Oak Street,
Mm-hmm.
that's on the west side of the
It's the
street.
last, yeah. it's the
Correct.
The
last-
last-
Very last.
I just want to drive by there. I'm nosy. And- Sorry. Is there any idea, is there any money left in the edit account? Or the edit?
Currently?
Huh?
Currently,
Currently?
yes.
Okay. And are
I've not been that.
you at ease to say how much is in there?
I don't have an accurate documentation right now to offer you. I can find that.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I did want to let you know that we are going to start soliciting funds from just the general public at the farmer's market for the Trails Project.
Okay.
We have bunches and bunches of money that have been offered and promised already from a lot of the businesses. So we are going to start doing that on a small scale, just starting at the farmers markets. Just ask for loose change, a couple of bucks, whatever you can give, and take it over to the foundation every week. And
The foundation holds all that money?
yep, they have all our money.
They've received all the funds committed to date, or those still need to be?
I don't think they've received all of them.
Okay.
But I know there are private people that are donating regularly already. And that we are going to do a trial on selling T-shirts, much like the Tipton Humane Society did. So just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Roberta, were you here
Thank
for
you.
the working session we had?
I missed most of it.
We got the community crossings grant to redo a lot, so the plan tentatively is to take the lights down in August, September, when that repaving happens.
Okay. I know that's not the answer that person wanted, but
Tell them to have patience.
yes, I will inform her. Thank you.
Mr. Davis?
Hello, James Davis, 422 East Jefferson. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, Madam Clerk Treasurer. I just want to introduce myself. I've recently accepted appointment onto the board of the Tipton Main Street Association. And so quite excited to get my feet wet there and contribute back to this great community. Just want to underscore our commitment from the Main Street Association on our goals and mission and the expectation of partnership with the city in accordance with the strategic plan. So look forward to working with you all and making Tipton great again.
You said you're a new board member, new officer.
New board member.
Okay.
Mhm. And I am also chairing the organizational committee. as
Oh, very
well.
good.
So you'll see some involvement there as well. So thank you all for what you do.
Welcome, James.
Thank you.
As I understand, Mr. Cochran, you're also a new board member.
Correct. I'm not as well spoken as James, but I will follow up. I'm Rob Cochran. I live at 1033 Market Road. Been a resident up there for close to a decade. We were both recently appointed to serve on the board of directors. We're looking to not only increase our collaboration, but our open channels of communication. You know, we want to be regularly talking with you guys. In the last 4 years, as I've noticed, coming back from school and all that, we've experienced a tremendous amount of momentum in our downtown with the plaza and some other things. And all of these decisions were guided by our revitalization plan, which credit to Mayor Schmicker and Main Street, they played a huge role in drafting that. It's our hope, as this, new guard comes in, that we can continue this momentum. So we want to introduce ourselves, but also kind of catch up on where some of these projects are at. The first of these initiatives is being the downtown plaza, which I mentioned. This is incredibly important to Main Street. This was one of the premier projects that was outlined in the revitalization plan. Outdoor theater performances, concerts, farmers market, all that stuff. we're not currently aware of any forward movement on completion of phase one or the start date for phase two. I was wondering if the mayor or the city council could inform me of the steps that the city is currently taking to achieve progress, and what is the updated timeline for full project completion?
Yeah, so phase one, actually Diana Tomlinson has been in communication with Pridemark mostly, some with HWC on the last of phase one. We only just recently heard back a commitment from them on finishing that out. So we expect that the installation of the spheres, picnic tables, benches, and cornhole will be completed within the next 30 days. So that, as of now, that's the phase two has not been a consideration at the moment. Still, as we acknowledge, it's still a project, but as we've moved forward with other projects, for instance, the baseball project, just try and prioritize fiscal dollars as appropriately as we can.
So there is
forward.
no commitment to phase two?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Is there, obviously you're very busy. We don't want to be constantly reaching out to you. Is there someone here that you want Main Street to be reaching out? Or do you want us to?
Actually, I know I have a meeting with the president of Main Street on the 21st.
Okay.
So I guess it was just my expectation that was going to be, but you do highlight every 2 weeks I have a meeting with Tipton leadership meeting. That's mostly staff members that I'm meeting with. And as Tammy can recount, at the latest Tipton leadership meeting, I pitched the idea of actually having a greater stakeholders invitee list, which would include Main Street Chamber Foundation, even some county representation. I think to your effect that we've got to start having larger conversations and include more people to make sure that we're all rowing the boat in the same direction.
Perfect. Second inquiry, the DORA initiative.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but we're like one of the handful of cities in the state that actually has this legislation. Carmel, Westfield, the big cities don't even have this yet. I think this, from a Main Street perspective, this is a very unique opportunity. What steps are we taking on that initiative to get that delivered ASAP? Because, the warm summer months, we've got Wheelies opening up, Mad Tap's been
True.
open for a little while, and then we've got Tipton on Tap, which is always a great tourism event. Can we expect DORA to be available by then?
That's our plan. So we sent some individuals to a DORA seminar, which included president from Main Street and then 2 other individuals from the city. What we discovered was that the ordinance that we passed as a board actually didn't include some items that the state required. So we're reviewing, trying to rewrite and then edit the plan as necessary. One of those items being the boundary can't be located within 200 feet of a religious church or school. And the previous map actually did have the boundary 200 feet, within 200 feet of a religious institution. So we're just trying to fix some of those things, and then we'll actually represent a DORA ordinance to this group to hopefully make some progress on it. Our plan was actually to have that presented to you all by now. It's just taking more time with asking legal questions and such to get it across the finish line.
Lawyers.
You can slap it.
I'm just not liking that. The third inquiry is about the Jefferson Street reconstruction project. Myself have noticed, and we as Main Street have noticed from the city's Facebook page, which I'm a huge fan of, and then the paper that plans are in motion, as you guys have been discussing. There's a lot of things that this project is going to open up in terms of changing the way that Jefferson Street looks like. I would think at some point that Main Street would be a part of that, especially in, we have whole subcommittees designed, to, it's like streetscaping, design, facade improvements, stuff like that. Our revitalization plan calls for heavy Main Street involvement in projects like this. I'm not going to quote the whole thing to you, but moving forward, the Main Street Association will need to become allies with the city and county in order to assist in the development of suggested projects. Can you help me understand? You kind of touched on it earlier. At what point the city plans on involving the Main Street Association in this, and to what extent are we involved? Like, do we have a seat at the table? Is it survey feedback?
Certainly, that's the expectation, a seat at the table. Again, as I'm gaining an appreciation for the projects and their timelines, some of these aren't like the focus groups were sort of in motion when I came in, that we did dictate the invitees based on, again, where they lived, their businesses. I can't commit. It is an expectation because you're right. In the revitalization plan, it talks about Jefferson Street streetscapes. So it would be natural for the design committee to weigh in on, or at least have some influence on what that looks like.
So, action point, can we as Main Street expect an invite to future meetings, or when do we expect to?
Yes. Again, I know you're looking for like a date. The meetings so far with the engineering firm haven't been on the design aspect. So it's been more on infrastructure, utilities. As those start to ramp up, yes.
That makes sense. All right, perfect. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
I'm sorry, I forgot to bring this up. I've noticed it a few times coming through town. I've got a couple calls asking about the blocking of the sidewalk in front of the daycare center on Main Street. And they asked, number one, if that was approved by the city or anybody. I know they need a place to play, and I told this person, I know they need a place to play, but they were adamant that that needs to be brought up, that that's actually legal for them to be doing that on the whole sidewalk in front of their business. And it's.
I'm unaware of what you're talking about. Can you explain that a little further? They're
No, it's this one.
completely closing off the sidewalk?
Yeah, they'll do
They
hopscotch,
boarded it-
all kinds of things out
They
there.
tie it off with strings and ropes
Yep.
and
Balloons,
rubber toy things and everything, and it's the entire sidewalk. And two people have asked me about this, so I almost forgot to bring it up. And
I think that
that's
needs
it.
warrants further
I do have a
discussion.
question.
Yeah, they do that quite a bit, so.
You know, I don't.
I've
Maybe
actually
they went to
wondered,
the fire department.
I've wondered the same thing, being across the street at the courthouse all the time, I see it.
Yeah,
We
So
used
I've
to have
kinda-
to approve sidewalk closure.
yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
know,
I just,
yeah,
it's just escaped me with everything going on, but
Yeah,
I've watched them do the same thing.
yeah. It's virtually every nice day.
Mhm, yes.
Yes, it
And
happens
that's
a
what
lot.
they're complaining about. So if you can look
Keep
into
my
that.
opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I did have one about the railroad crossings when is there any liability anywhere from an emergency response standpoint? If we've got 4 intersections there closed and, I mean, that just seems like a lot of intersections closed all at one time when you can't get.
Unless Norfolk and Southern though has some special supersedes, I don't see how they could close intersections without the city's approval even.
They unfortunately do. I was at a rail summit earlier this year, and the statement was made by Norfolk and Southern actually, that your roads cross our railroads,
That's
not
right.
the other way around. So the point being, they had railroads here first, and then Tipton came. Now the room is full of mayors and other elected officials, so that it didn't sit well, but that was the statement they made. And honestly, that's how they operate nationwide. So
Did they even
there's some
let-
big advocacy trying to take place now to change those relationships, but they sort of operate that your streets cross our railroads.
Did they even let the fire department, police department know ahead of time?
There was some communication, on the
'Cause I
project
knew bus
timeline.
drivers didn't know, but I didn't know.
And it was a challenge of, as they communicated to us, we're going to start in Alexandria April 26th, and we're going to be done May 30th. And that was the communication. So they said that they would follow up and communicate when they got closer, but then they were here, and then they let us know. So we're working on those relationships, and hopefully those improve. And we were told by other communities that they'll just show up and do work. So the fact that they did communicate ahead of time felt like a good progress. We'll just continue to work on those relationships.
I've got a question for Tammy, and Matt may have the partial answer also. I was asked the other day, we have a golf cart ordinance. This person owns a gator, but I believe gators are not allowed on city streets. Is that right, Tammy? Do you remember? That's a long time ago when we did that.
I think they were considered farm equipment, not.
I couldn't remember. And I thought that person was going to be at the meeting tonight, but
they're not here.
Is that the same as the UTV? Because you see a lot of them now, they're not golf
Razors.
carts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not golf carts, you're right.
Mhm.
I don't think razors are allowed. At least my brother, when he had one, was told he can't ride them.
I know over there at the car lot, they're
They're
selling a
selling
lot, and them are not golf carts. Them are
Exactly.
UTVs.
And Dan will tell you that too when you look at them.
Right.
These are not meant to be driven on the streets.
Right.
Just
There
a
is a
quick
lot of them on Main Street.
I'll send you the golf cart ordinance.
Thank you.
I know this isn't city council, but I'd like to mention Mad Tap Saturday night had a thing for Mama's Night. It went over really well. A lot of people was up there and
Good.
I like seeing that for the town. I like seeing more of the businesses have some more events like that because it went really well that night. They done a great job. They had light band and everything up there.
Anything else for this evening?
Is the county discussing at all maybe partnering on the baseball diamonds with us yet? So if they're watching,
I've had informal conversations related to, but not with an ask, no. Everyone I've chatted with acknowledges that we have both city and county residents, constituents that are playing baseball there.
I move we adjourn.
second.
Motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion, meeting adjourned.
Next time
Thank you, everybody.
Chance at the Board of Works. Next time you get a chance at the Board of Works meeting, can they do something about spraying some of these weeds on this side?
They are.
No, I thought that went real good there. Mama's Night out.